जय जय श्री राधे। सब वैष्णवों को जय श्री कृष्ण। श्री वल्लभाधीश की जय, श्री गोसाई जी की जय। Varta 154 on day 172. The story of a Brajavasi, a shoe seller, and a Brahmin. Bhav Prakash. These are devotees of Tamasi disposition. In the eternal Leela, their names are Rohit Gopa, that's the Brajavasi, Kalika, shoe seller, and Sanshaya, the Brahmin, a Sakhi of Kalika. They all manifest from Sugandhini and are thus forms of her divine loving sentiment. Part 1. Once when Sri Gosaiji travelled to Dwarka, this Brajavasi man accompanied him. They set up camp in a village. In this village lived the merchant who sold shoes, and people called him a cobbler. This merchant, or cobbler, was blessed by a goddess. If he ever told anyone so much as go die, then they would indeed die. The goddess spoke to the cobbler. Whilst camped in the village, the Brajavasi went to the cobbler's shop to buy a pair of shoes. After they had agreed on the price, the cobbler gave the Brajavasi the shoes to put on. As he did so, 7 other customers entered the shop, and the cobbler began to show them shoes. The Brajavasi called out to him, "Oh, please take the money." However, the cobbler was so busy showing shoes to the others that he did not hear the Brajavasi's cries and did not take the money. The Brajavasi called out to him again to take the money, but he took no notice. The Brajavasi became very angry, and he hit the cobbler with the shoes. The cobbler shouted at him, "Die, go die," but nothing happened. The Brajavasi paid him the money and came back to the camp. When the cobbler went home, he saw that the goddess was trembling. The cobbler asked her, "Why so?" "Your word did not work." The goddess spoke up, "That Brajavasi is a Vaishnava and a disciple of Sri Gosaiji. Your curses may work on others, but never on such as he. You cursed him still, and that is why I am trembling." The cobbler said, Are there others who are greater than you?" The goddess stated, "Vaishnavas are much greater than me. Greater than them is Sri Gosaiji." The cobbler said, "I will go and take shelter in Sri Gosaiji." The cobbler came to Sri Gosaiji's camp. He fell at the Brajavasi's feet and asked him to help him to be initiated as a Vaishnava. The Vaishnava supplicated Sri Gosaiji to take the cobbler into his shelter. Sri Gosaiji asked him, "Are you a cobbler, or do you sell shoes?" The man replied, "O Maharaj, I am a merchant, but I sell shoes for a living. If you say so, I shall stop trading in shoes and sell clothes instead." When he heard this, Sri Gosaiji blessed him by initiating him with the Lord's name. The man went home and sold off all the shoes. He spent the whole night cleaning his house. In the morning he took his wife to Sri Gosaiji and had her initiated as well. They fasted for that day. They went and buried the goddess in a pit in the ground, and the next day they granted Brahmasambandh initiation. Then they supplicated, "O Maharaj, what do you command us to do next?" Sri Gosaiji told them to make Seva to Sri Thakurji. He then told the Brajavasi to go to their home and help them to purify their house, especially the kitchen, ready for Seva. The Brajavasi went there and got them to perform all the purifications and change all the cooking pots. He taught them how to fetch and store water. He then granted them Sri Thakurji's Seva and continued to stay in the camp for another week, during which time he instructed them in all the ways of Seva. After this, Sri Gosaiji, having had the holy sight of Sri Ranachorlaji, returned to Vraj. The couple began to serve the Lord very nicely. They also opened a cloth shop. Every morning the wife would do the cooking, the husband would wake up the Lord, dress and adorn him, and then he would go to the shop. The wife would make the morning and lunchtime offerings to the Lord and perform the Rajbhog Arti. She would settle the Lord down for his afternoon rest, feed some of the Mahaprasad to the cows, and then take the rest of the Mahaprasad to their cloth shop. One day a Brahmin Vaishnava came to that village. He passed by the cloth shop. The cobbler saw him and went out to greet and meet him. He brought him into the shop and respectfully welcomed him. He then took the Brahmin back to his shop. He bathed and performed the Rajbhog Arti. He then took the Brahmin back to his house. He bathed and performed the Rajbhog Arti. The Brahmin Vaishnava had the holy sight of the couple Sri Thakurji. When the Lord had been settled down for his rest, the husband showed the Brahmin around their house, pointing out that their kitchen area and the Lord's temple were kept pure and separate, and they made the correct distinctions between the different categories of foodstuffs and how they kept the offered and unoffered foodstuff separate. Their Seva was indeed very exemplary. When he saw all this, the Brahmin Vaishnava was very impressed. The husband then facilitated the Brahmin's bathing and asked him humbly if he would accept some non-grain prasad from them that day. The Brahmin Vaishnava lost all his concern about any worldly divisions of caste, and seeing their bright cleanliness, requested them to let him partake of all their Mahaprasad, including sakari and anasakari grain-based prasad. They joyfully fed him with all types of prasad. They gave him a pan bida after his meal. He went to the village. The cobbler went back to his shop. Another Vaishnava who lived in the village saw the Brahmin Vaishnava and greeted him with Jai Sri Krishna. He asked him, "When did you get here?" The Brahmin replied, "I arrived this morning." The Vaishnava asked him where he had spent the morning, and he replied that he had accepted an invitation from those Vaishnavas to take Mahaprasad with them. The Vaishnava piped up, "But you are a Brahmin and he is a cobbler. He sells shoes. He has only just been initiated as a Vaishnava. It is only since then that he has been selling cloth." Hearing this, the Brahmin felt much regret that he had accepted prasad from them. As he had these negative thoughts towards them, he developed white leprosy across his forehead. He realized, "I doubted those Vaishnavas and therefore I have been stricken with this leprosy." He decided to go to see Sri Gosaiji, thinking that he would be healed with Sri Gosaiji's grace. The Brahmin Vaishnava came to Sri Gosaiji. He had audience with him and explained everything. Sri Gosaiji confirmed, "You contracted the leprosy because you doubted those Vaishnavas. You should now go on a pilgrimage of the whole of the Vraja land. You should bathe in all the kundas and rub the sand from all of them onto your head." The Brahmin Vaishnava set off on the circumambulation. He applied the sand of all the kundas on his head, and half of the leprosy was healed. He returned to Sri Gosaiji and showed him how just half of the leprosy was gone and half remained. Sri Gosaiji told him, "On the way to Dwarka lives Haridas's daughter. Go to her and she will take care of everything." The Brahmin Vaishnava went to see Haridas's daughter. She welcomed him into her home most lovingly. She asked him from where he had come, and he replied that Sri Gosaiji had sent him. She was pleased that Sri Gosaiji had so graced her. She performed the Rajbhog Arti of her Sri Thakurji, and the Brahmin Vaishnava had his holy sight. She then invited him to bathe and partake of Mahaprasad. The Brahmin bathed and then sat down in the upper state of purity. She asked him, "Will you partake of sakari or anasakari prasad?" He replied that he would accept sakari. She served him with the prasad and he was most pleased to accept it. He was sitting down after his meal when Haridas's daughter asked him, "Please tell me exactly why you came." The Brahmin Vaishnava told her everything. She went and told her husband Manik Chand that Sri Gosaiji had sent him to her and that she should therefore heal him. And Manik Chand piped up, "Yes, heal him if you can." Haridas's daughter said, "It will take 2,000 rupees to heal this Vaishnava." Manik Chand said, "Don't worry, that is fine. We shall do it whatever it costs." Haridas's daughter then told him to put up invitations in all the surrounding villages for the Vaishnavas to come over. He did so, even erecting a flagpole. He put up a large tent and all the Vaishnavas came there and they fed them all with Mahaprasad. When all the Vaishnavas had partaken of Mahaprasad, Haridas's daughter told the Brahmin, "When all the Vaishnavas have finished eating, you should collect little bits of leftovers from all their plates into a pot and eat only from that for 3 days. You should pick up their plates and clean the area afterwards." Hearing this, the Brahmin did exactly as she had said and very humbly and faithfully took the prasadi leftovers into a pot and then cleared up the area. By the second day, half of his leprosy was gone. He repeated the actions and ate the leftovers at the end of the second day too, and then only a quarter of his disease remained. When he had done this for the full 3 days, his skin shone like gold. The Brahmin then returned to Sri Gosaiji after taking leave of Haridas's daughter. He told Sri Gosaiji everything. He said, "O Maharaj, I felt great bliss by doing this." Thousands of rupees were also collected for Sri Govardhanaji and Sri Gosaiji, to whom all these donations were delivered. From this it is learnt that a Vaishnava should always think first before doing anything at all, and even if they do not think first, they should not be doubted. Bhav Prakash, the moral of this story is that one should never even consider the caste or social standing of an accomplished Vaishnava. It is a great offence to do so. Accomplished Vaishnavas are divine, not of this world. Thus concludes Varta 154, the story of the Brajavasi, the shoe seller and a Brahmin, who were recipients of Sri Gosaiji's great grace and accomplished Vaishnavas. There is no end to their tale. Thus concludes our reading for today. We will continue tomorrow. Sab Vaishnavan ko Sada Saprem or Sanambra. Jai Shri Krishna. जय जय श्री राधे। आज के आनंद की जय, श्री गोसाई जी की जय, 252 वैष्णव की जय, 84 वैष्णव की जय। जय जय श्री राधे।